Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Saurav, and if you're new here, this is the place where we dive into fascinating stories from history, explore the lives of iconic figures, and break down events that changed the world. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the life of a figure whose influence is still felt today. If you love history and storytelling, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. What made a person so pivotal in shaping history? How did their actions create ripples that are still felt today? Today, we'll uncover the lesser-known side of Soviet Union, how they broke down, surprising twists in their journey that you may have never heard before. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to understand the two superpowers of the world, United States and Soviet Union, lived in and the challenges they faced. So, let's travel back in time and see how it all began. William Randolph Hearst was an American millionaire, and he extended a helping hand to the Nazis in their efforts to poison public opinion against the Soviet Union. He is also considered the founder of what we now understand as yellow press or sensationalist media. Hearst was the owner of several major newspapers in the United States. Hearst began his career in journalism as an editor in 1885. His father, a wealthy businessman, owned many mines and newspapers and had served as a U.S. Senator. In 1885, he handed over the responsibility of the San Francisco Daily Examiner to his son, marking the beginning of the Hearst Empire in the world of newspapers. This empire had a significant influence on the lives and minds of millions of people across North America. After his father's death, William Hearst sold all his shares in the mining industry and focused entirely on investing in newspapers. His first major purchase was the New York Morning Journal, a prestigious publication, but within a short period of time, he transformed it into a sensationalist paper that thrived on scandalous stories. He was never reluctant to spend money on buying exciting stories, even if no major criminal incident had occurred. He encouraged his reporters to create fabricated news stories if none were available. This became a hallmark of yellow journalism, presenting false and sensational news as the truth. By publishing fabricated and sensational stories, Hearst became a multimillionaire within a short period. By 1935, he was one of the richest men in the world, with a fortune of over $290 million. By the 1940s, Hearst owned 25 newspapers, 24 weekly magazines, 12 radio stations, and 2 news agencies. Additionally, he owned the Cosmopolitan Film Company, which provided essential information for movie productions. In 1948, he also bought the first television station in the United States, BWBL-TV in Baltimore. At the time, the Hearst newspapers were selling 13 million copies per day in the U.S. alone, and their readership exceeded 40 million. Through global news agencies, these newspapers also served as a primary source of news for millions of people worldwide. The Hearst Empire had significant influence on American politics and even world politics. It had the power to shape global opinion, often manipulating public sentiment on various issues. Hearst was an ardent nationalist, conservative, and anti-communist. His political views were reactionary and far-right. In 1934, he visited Nazi Germany, where Hitler welcomed him as a guest and friend. After returning from Germany, Hearst's newspapers began publishing more openly reactionary views. His publications regularly ran articles attacking socialism, the Soviet Union, and particularly Stalin. At one point, Hearst even tried to turn his newspapers into Nazi propaganda outlets by publishing articles written by Goering. However, after public backlash, he was forced to stop publishing these pieces. Upon his return from Germany, Hearst's newspapers launched a relentless campaign against the Soviet Union, publishing sensational reports about murders, genocide, slavery, and the extravagance of Soviet leaders, presenting these as the hidden truth about the Soviet system. Many of these articles were based on false or fabricated information provided by the Nazi secret police. These reports, often accompanied by inflammatory cartoons, claimed that Stalin was committing horrific crimes. One of the most notorious false stories propagated by Hearst's newspapers was the claim that the Soviet Union had deliberately created a food crisis in Ukraine, resulting in millions of deaths. In reality, what was happening in the Soviet Union at that time was a large-scale class struggle in which poor, landless peasants were fighting against wealthy, large landowners. This was part of the broader effort to build collective farms. There was some disruption in agricultural production during this period, but it wasn't severe enough to cause widespread famine. However, a deadly pandemic, the Spanish flu, was sweeping through much of Europe and the Americas, causing millions of deaths. In contrast, Hearst's newspapers completely ignored the role of the flu, and instead blamed the Soviet government for the deaths in Ukraine, accusing them of deliberately creating a famine. Hearst's media empire was successful in using these false narratives to sway public opinion in capitalist countries against the Soviet Union. For nearly 50 years, from 1934 to 1987, Hearst's sensationalist reports on the Soviet Union went largely unchallenged in the Western press. The Soviet Union did provide counterarguments, but these were rarely given any significant attention in the Western media, allowing imperialist lies to persist unchallenged. In this way, Hearst's empire used its vast influence to spread anti-Soviet propaganda and help shape global public opinion against communism and the Soviet Union. So, that was the incredible journey of yellow journalism and Soviet Union. From their humble beginnings to their groundbreaking impact, their story reminds us of the power of yellow journalism. We'll be coming back soon with another interesting topic. So stay tuned.